talk about open houses. Amanda, do you ever do open houses?
Yes, I haven't done very many this year, just the ones that my listing. I used to do a lot more and I really need to get back into it.
Got it. Well, as I normally do with these Tech Tuesdays, I do, these can be, I want these to be more like a discussion than a class. So like, feel free to like speak up if you have pertinent, stuff to add or questions. And also for people watching this, I'm not saying I'm an expert at open houses or anything. This is just, I get asked this question a lot, like, how do you do open houses? Because I would say I have a pretty good success rate. My numbers, because I track this pretty well, for every 10 open houses I do, I get a closing. So that's not great, but
That's great.
I think it's apparently it's better than a lot of people. So I was like, all right, let me just kind of write out my whole process. So step one, I'm going to say this is for people who you don't have a listing. Okay. So if you have a listing, obviously you want to do an open house at your listing. If you don't have a listing, I have an auto search for the markets I want to be known in, right? So we're building a home here in North End Tacoma. I have, just like I would set up a search for clients who are buying a home in this area, I set up a search that emails me and it says, potential open house. So whenever a home comes up in 98403, that's above, I do above 600. I have it, a couple little characteristics like that, no condos, single family, right? I get an email. And the reason I do that is I get the email right when it's listed, and I want to be the first person to call that listing broker, congratulate them on the listing, and say, so let's say to you, Amanda, you list a home in the North End, and I say, hey, Amanda, this is Isaac Schaefer, Realty One Group. Congrats on your new listing in North Tacoma. I live a few blocks away, or, if it's not an area that you live, you can say something about connecting you to that area. Like, I love this area and I work a lot in this area, whatever you want to say. But I say, I live a few blocks away, or I'm building a home a few blocks away. And this is such a gorgeous listing. It's going to sell no trouble. And then I start by like boosting their ego, right? Because I want them to like me. And then I say, hey, I would love to do an open house there on Saturday. Is that a possibility? Would you be interested in that? And the truth is, in the past, it was like 9 out of 10 would say yes. Now, for some reason, it's probably like 1 out of 3 say yes. I don't know why, but a lot of people say no, but that's fine. Who cares? Like 1 out of 3 is plenty. You can find an open house every weekend if you call enough agents. So they say, yeah, that's great. You can do that. Okay. So that's step one, right? Just continually reaching out to people with listings that I like in the area I like, in that first week. I think that's really important in the first week. I've seen this a million times. If you do an open house the second weekend, way less people, at least half the amount of people. The first week is the best because that's when people are seeing it on Redfin and Zillow and all that. And they're like, oh, there's an open house this weekend. By the way, make sure when you talk to the broker, the listing broker should know this, but say, hey, I'm going to text you and remind you the time and date so you can put it in the MLS, because they're not doing the open house. So it's not really high on their to-do list. So you want to keep texting them and make sure they put in the MLS, obviously, because no one's going to know who's looking on Redfin or Zillow that there's an open house unless they put in the MLS as an open house. That's really important. Okay, so step two, I don't do this every time, but I should, and my turnout is so much better. Well, before I say step two, there are 2 types of people you're going for at an open house. Most people think of number 1, you're looking for buyers, right? We're going to talk a lot about buyers, but number 2, and perhaps more importantly, especially if it's the area you live is neighbors. You want neighbors who might consider selling in the next few years to go through the home. So the next thing I do is I go to 50 houses or so around the open house, and I don't even knock on the door because I don't feel comfortable door knocking. It's probably better if you knock on the door, but I get anxiety about it. I don't do it. I just bring little door hangers. You can go to Walmart and just pick up it's like a little tiny plastic bag that hangs around the door. And I put in a flyer that says, neighbors only open house 10 to 11, 10 a.m. to 11 before the public open house, 11 to 1. That's how I do it. You can customize it. So now all the neighbors who of course want to know what their neighbor is listing for, and they want, they've seen the home because they drive by it and they saw the sign. They're like, oh, that's cool. I'm going to go there. It's not going to be a bunch of random people. It's just going to be neighbors checking out this open house. So that has been really successful to me because a lot of times people come in to the neighbors only open house 10 to 11, and they're really grateful. They're like, hey, thanks for telling us about this. This is really cool. And I don't know anybody else who's doing this. So they feel special, and you just kind of separated yourself from all the other open houses that are happening that weekend. So
Yeah.
that's been really successful for me. I guess I have this as step 3. I guess step 2 would be contact Rachel right away and have Rachel start designing the marketing. Sorry, that should really be your first step. As soon as you get someone to agree for your open house, you want to have Rachel start working on a flyer for you. And Rachel can probably do a flyer that advertises the neighbors only open house as well.
Can I
please.
mention really quick? So also just remember, I have run into a couple of people, and it hasn't really been a problem so far, but sometimes if you are doing an open house literally the next day, it would be really helpful if you could get me the information as quickly as possible or as far in advance as you possibly can, so I have time to make those flyers and make sure they're beautiful and perfect for you guys. So just know that, and sometimes I have other projects going on that are taking priority because I do work in the order that they come in. So try not to get me the information day of or the day before. Try and get it to me as soon as you know. That would be super helpful so I can make it really pretty for you guys.
Yep, totally agree with that. I mean, Fridays are probably one of your busiest days because people list homes on Wednesday and Thursday. They're doing open houses on Saturday. Yeah, they're, even if they're not doing open houses, they want you to make flyers and stuff. So if you can get Rachel the stuff on Thursday, then you can for sure get it by Saturday. I mean, obviously Rachel still has to just put it in order. So not for sure, but most likely you can get it by Friday. And that's what you want, right? And yeah, in worst case, you can go if you are late to the game, you're doing this on Friday and Rachel can't get to it in time, you can go on the MLS and print out a generic flyer. I just wouldn't do that. If you do that though, you can just handwrite on the top print out one, handwrite on the top, neighbors only open house, 10 to 11 before the public open house, and then just make a bunch of copies. There's something about a handwritten note that seems more personable. If a neighbor opens a flyer and there's a clear handwritten note on top, hey, you're invited to neighbors only open house, it feels a little more personal. So anyways, that's another way around it, but the best way is obviously to get Rachel the information by Thursday so you can have it by Friday, because you want to do the door knocking on Friday. I call it door knocking, but just hanging the stuff on the door on Friday. I will say in regards to door knocking, people hate door knockers. So when you are going to run into people who see you come into their door and they open their door and hey, what's up? And it's normal, almost always it's fine. I say, oh, I'm just dropping off a flyer where I'm doing an open house tomorrow for neighbors only here. Almost always their guard goes down. They're like, oh, okay, no worries. You're like, I'm not asking for anything. Just want to give you a flyer and let you know we're doing an open house tomorrow, 10 to 11 for neighbors. But just be prepared for what you're going to say when somebody opens their door and asks all suspicious, hey, what's going on here? Just be prepared for that so it doesn't surprise you and you're not stuttering. Prepare what you're going to say when that happens, because it will happen for sure. You're going to run into at least a few people who ask what the hell you're doing on their front porch. So just be prepared for that. But almost always they calm down immediately when you just put your hands up. You're like, hey, just giving you a flyer, letting you know we're doing an open house. So so another note about the neighbors only open house. Obviously, I'm going to put out the open house signs at 10 a.m. when I get there, even though the public's 11 to 1. So of course, some people are going to be driving by and they're going to see an open house sign and they're going to come, they're not neighbors. That's fine. It doesn't matter. You're just saying it's neighbors only so that they feel special. If people come in who aren't neighbors, it doesn't matter. So just if that question comes up, it doesn't matter if you're a neighbor, just come on in, right? Okay, my opinion, Saturdays are better than Sundays. That's just based off experience. I normally get more people on Saturdays versus Sundays. It's about 80% of the amount of people on Sundays as Saturdays. I don't know why. I think probably because church and football and getting ready for the week, there's just less people out and about on a Sunday than there is on Saturday. Just my 2 cents. If you only have time to do one open house a week, I would do Saturday. Just looking at my notes. So the day before the open house, after I do the door knocking or before I do the door knocking, I schedule on showing time a showing, and I do a Facebook Live or Instagram Live or maybe a reel, something like that, of a tour of the home. So, start with me, and I say, hey guys, I am here at 4001 North Baltimore Street here in North Tacoma. I'm doing an open house here from 11 to 1 tomorrow. I would love to see you here, but first let's see a quick tour. Reason I'm doing this is twofold. Number one, it's content, right? We're always looking for content that we can post. So all of the people who follow us on Facebook and Instagram are seeing Isaac's a realtor, Isaac, it's just content. And number two, open houses look better if you have more people come. So if your friends and family see it and they come and see it, it's good, right? It makes for a more positive experience when you've got more people coming through the door. So even though those people probably aren't going to buy a home, it's good content and you're just getting more traffic, and more traffic looks good, right? When people are driving by an open house, they see a lot of cars, they get anxious, they want to see it, they get more people come in the door when they see that there's more people there. So I really wouldn't skimp on that. And at a minimum, if you don't have time to do that on Friday, then on Saturday, the second you get there, do a Facebook Live and say, I'm here, I'm doing an open house here until 1 p.m. Here's the address. Here's a quick tour. Come check it out. Come say hi, right? Okay, food and drinks. I normally don't do food and drinks. And the truth is, it's just laziness. It's because I don't plan ahead. When I do food and drinks, it's only a good thing. You know what I mean? Like, don't get crumbly stuff. That's one secret. Get things that don't spill. I would do water, nothing like juice that could spill on a carpet, and little snacks that are like finger food that aren't going to get crumbs everywhere. I think it's good in general when you go into an open house. If you can put yourself in a consumer perspective, they're likely looking at 2, 3, 4 open houses that day, and if you're the one that had food, you're a little bit more of a positive interaction. And you can bet that the other 2 or 3 or 4 open houses are going to, those brokers are also trying to get them as clients. And if you're the one who had food, it's just a little step above all the other ones, right? So I think food and water bottles is a very small, good investment to consider when you're doing an open house. When people walk through the door, there's a couple ways to go about the sign-in sheet. Amanda, do you do a sign-in sheet when you do open houses?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, I am 50-50 on this, dude. I, of course, love the idea behind the sign-in sheet. It's like, if someone comes through your home and they don't sign in and you don't get their information, the only way you're going to get them is if they contact you after the fact, right? Which is very unlikely. So a sign-in sheet is great because you capture their information, you can put them in your database. The problem is it starts off the interaction negatively. So here's my hybrid. Here's what I do. When somebody walks in the door, I don't ask them to sign in. And I'm not saying this is right. I've just lots of trial and error. I found that when I say, hey, welcome to the open house, can you please go sign in with your name and your phone number and your email and your social security and all that? Yeah. They get anxious right away. A lot of them say, I don't want to sign in. I don't want to give you my information. It's uncomfortable, like it's less friendly. And almost everybody asks for people to sign in. So what I do is I start with a very positive first line. I wrote down, hey guys, thanks for coming in. I'm the real estate agent, Isaac Schaefer. Just let me know if you have any questions. I'll just be around. I don't follow them. I let them walk around. And then when I get a chance to see them again, I say, how do you like it? Any questions? just have a friendly interaction with them. Before they leave, I say, hey, by the way, the owner is asking that people sign in just so he knows how many people went through. So if you can just write your name down over there, and if you put your phone number, your email, we're gonna have a drawing at the end of it for a $50 Amazon gift card. You don't have to do your phone number or email, but if you do, there's a chance that you'll get picked to get a $50 Amazon gift card. So help yourself. So again, I think a lot of real estate coaches would say, no, that's stupid, because most people aren't going to do their phone number or email. Here's my argument against it. If they don't want to put their phone number or email down, it's probably because they have no interest in using you as a realtor, right? There's probably like a 1% chance that somebody who doesn't want to give you their information is going to like you enough to use you as a realtor. So why do I want their phone number or email? I only want the people who are positive enough, excited enough that they're willing to put their phone number and email down. So if I give it to them as an option, then I think I have a better shot at getting them as a client. And then I don't have to waste my time reaching out to people who didn't even like me in the first place. So that's my logic. I'm going to pause on the open house. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I will say that is a really smart idea. And like, I've been to plenty of like brokers open houses where they do like giveaways and stuff like that. That is a really good way to like get people to want to enter, like some sort of raffle, even if you're just choosing like one, but like, I don't do something so like niche, like what Isaac was saying, like an Amazon gift card is perfect because they could like use it for so many other things. But if you do like some really niche market, like if I did like a Suzanne's gift card, for example, I love Suzanne's. I love going there. It's a local deli and like bakery in Gig Harbor. But if I do that in Tacoma, nobody's ever going to come. Like nobody wants that, right? So like do something that like is useful and like a lot of people would enjoy. But that's a really good and smart idea to get like phone numbers and emails.
Thank you. So now to pause on the open house. This could be considered unethical, but I'm going to say it anyways, because this is what I do. So when I do the sign-in sheet and then people sign in, I don't do a random drawing to see who wins. I remember the people who go through and the people who I had a really good interaction with. Because normally, man, I don't know about your experience, but normally when I do an open house, there's 2, 3, 4 max that I have a really good conversation with. We talked, we got off topic of real estate. It's probably a memorable experience for them. And whether it's 1, 2, 3, or 4, everyone who goes through that, I'm like, okay, I got a real shot at getting that person as a client. I call all 1, 2, 3, or 4 of them. And I say after the open house, and I say, hey, it's Isaac from the open house. You won the $50 gift card. That's what I do. Because I want to give a $50 gift card to anybody I think is going to potentially use me as their agent. So probably unethical, but that's what I do. I will oftentimes do it to 2 or 3 people. What'd you say, Rachel?
Giant scheme.
Giant scheme. It totally is. But hey, it's my money, so I can do what I want. Sorry. Anyways, that's what I do. And then when I call them and I say, hey, you won the gift card, I do not offer to send it to them. I want another face-to-face. I say, do you want me to drop it off at your house, or do you want to meet at Starbucks or meet at my office and I can give it to you in person? What's best for you? I guess if they were like, oh, no, I'm okay. Can you just text it to me? Can you just email it to me? Sure, then I'll do it. I'm not going to say, no, you have to meet me in person. But almost always they say yes. That only happens once or twice. Has that ever happened to me where they insist on me emailing it to them? Because again, I'm only giving this to people who I had a really good interaction with, who, probably are fine meeting me in person. So then, I meet them at a coffee shop later that week and I give them the gift card. I say, congratulations. And, we're all in sales. You know what to do from there, right? To have some kind of call to action. Like, do you have any questions about buying a home? I'd love to kind of educate you on the process. I've got this buyer's packet that kind of walks you through the whole process, something like that, depending on what they are. Maybe it's a neighbor who had told you that they're planning on selling their home next year. Of course, I'm giving them a gift card, right? And then I would say, hey, would you like a CMA just so I can show you what your home, I know you're not looking to sell now, but if you want to know what the value is today, I can send you a CMA so you know what the value is, and that will give you kind of an idea for planning purposes. Are you interested in that? But when you give them the gift card, offer something else in return as well. Like try and get them to like you even more, right? So that's my secret weapon. The rest of what I have to say is probably pretty obvious, but I hope that's helpful. Again, I don't make people sign in at first. I make them sign at the end, and I don't make people do phone numbers and emails, because if they don't want to do it, then and they do it, they're not going to take my phone call, in my opinion. So, okay, I have a note here. Read body language. Body language is like makes open houses make a lot more sense to me. When somebody told me this early on when I first got my license, they're like, look, most people who go through your open house are going to not face you directly. They're not going to reach their hand out to shake. They're not going to smile. Those are people who do not want you to call them. They do not want, they're not going to use you. They're like, don't try. So if you have somebody come through your open house, they're like, oh, hey, and they just walk around, you say, hey, what did you think of the home? And they're just like, oh, it's cool, thanks. And they leave. Don't worry about them. Like, don't spend your time. There's other people going through your home. That is a waste of time. That's a dead lead. It's not worth it. So I know it's kind of like easier said than done, but like feel people out. And if someone is not giving you the time of day, don't worry about them. Let them go, wait for the next person to come through and try and have a good interaction with them. I think that's really important because it can be discouraging trying to get through to somebody who clearly doesn't want to be spoken to. So stop. That's my advice. Just read their body language. And if they're telling you with everything they're not saying is saying, I don't want to talk to you, then don't talk to them. It's a waste of your time. So that's some extra advice. Amanda, what's your opinion on bringing a lender to your open house? Like doing an open house with a lender? Have you ever done that?
Yes. I have a specific lender that I like to bring to open houses. She's really awesome. That's been, to be honest, I've never gotten a client out of an open house yet, so I'm doing something wrong. But when I bring a lender, this particular lender, it goes really well. She's really helpful.
Yeah, I completely agree. Two's better than one. And the only thing I will say is when I do bring a lender, I tell the lender everything that I'm telling you guys in this video. I say, here's what we're going for. We're not going to be pushy. We're not going to make people sign in right away. We're not going to follow people around. We're not going to talk to people who clearly don't want to be talked to. I kind of coach them. And I'm saying, and I'm humble about it. I'm not saying, hey, I know what I'm doing. You don't know what you're doing. I'm not saying that. I'm saying this is how I do open houses. And for the interaction I want at the open house, whether it's with you or me, is lighthearted, relaxed, have some food. Let me know if you have any questions. And then if things are going well, you push for the sign-in. And so just make sure that the lender and you are on the same page. What's our strategy? Are they signing in at the door or are they signing in at the end? Are we following them around? I would never follow people around. Oh God, I see that all the time where they just like follow the person around room to room. They're like, yeah, what do you think of this room? Isn't that a great closet? What, you love the skylights? It's like, yeah, I see, dude, get off my bed.
Yeah.
So just make sure the lender's on the same page. But I completely agree with you. Having a lender there can only be a good thing if you guys are on the same page.
Yeah.
Okay. Know what other listings are available in the area. So again, this does not apply for the people who are giving you the cold shoulder. But before I do an open house, I want to know what similar properties in that area are available. So then I'm having a conversation, and now I'm talking about those people, probably 20% only of the people who come through the home that I'm having a good interaction with, right? They're talking to me, they're being nice, they're smiling, right? You get good body language. And you say, what do you think of the home? And almost always they're like, oh, we really like it, but it's not going to work for us because we need a master on the main, or, whatever. And then you say, oh, you know what? You should see
Primary.
What?
Primary.
Yeah, whatever. You should see this home that was just listed or has been listed for a few weeks. It's just right down the road, and tell them about the listing. Now, here's the key. A lot of people will say, bring those listings so you can hand it to them. But when you give someone something, you don't get anything back. So I will sometimes I'll say, do you want me to send it to you? They'll normally say yes. They probably won't say no. If they say no, they might be like, oh no, it's fine. I'll just look it up. Thanks for the address, right? But then they say yes, you say, okay, perfect. You have it on your phone. You say, what's your phone number so I can send it to you? That's great. That's even better than a sign-in sheet because now I'm already texting with you. So I text it to them and then they leave. And after the showing, I say, hey, what did you think of that home? Do you want to check it out? I'm available the rest of the day. I can show it to you anytime. So that's a really good tip to try and get someone's phone number. And they've just invited you to have a conversation with them because they already said, yes, here's my phone number, text me. So now you kind of have permission to text them without them giving you permission. When somebody signs into a sheet, if you text them later, thanks for coming to the open house. Are you interested in writing an offer? Sometimes people are like, damn, these people, they just want to spam me. I knew that when I signed in, they were just going to spam me. But if you get their phone number verbally given to you, which is essentially their permission to text you to text them, then it's not weird if you then contact them later and say, hey, do you want to see that home? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So that's some
That's
advice.
a great idea. Great idea.
Yeah. And I got this advice too. If you look at your phone to text them and you say, what's your phone number? And you just keep looking at your phone, you don't even look up at them. It's harder for them to say no. So look up at them and they're like, if you're not looking at them, they're not going to be able to do that. So that's just advice I got, and it's true. I'm telling you, it works. You just say, okay, perfect. What's your phone number? I'm going to send it to you. I'm telling you, there's something about not giving them the out with the eye contact. So, gosh, sometimes I talk about sales and I sound so slimy. I hope it doesn't come across that way, but I mean, it works. So,
I can put in here that I use Isaac as my real estate agent, and he is not slimy. He's a good agent, I swear.
I just post videos on Instagram, apparently.
Yeah, you just play one on TV. You're okay.
Okay, so that's pretty much all I got. So the last thing I do after it closes, the open house is done, I pick everything up. I go through my sign-in sheet. I already have an idea who I'm going to pick for the Amazon gift cards. I reach out to them, and everybody else who didn't get an Amazon gift card who signed in, which is not going to be a lot. You're probably not going to get 20 people. You're probably going to get 5 to 10, maybe. And you're going to get 1 or 2 or 3 Amazon gift card, and then you have 3, 4, 5, 6 left to just, you have their information. If they didn't win the Amazon gift card, what are you going to do with that information? What I do is I'm now contradicting what I said earlier. I do text them later and I say, hey, this is Isaac Schaefer. I just want to thank you for coming to the open house today. If you'd like to set up a private showing to see it again, let me know. I'm happy to show it to you anytime. So that's what I do. And then I follow up again when it goes pending and then when it goes sold. And I just say, hey, Isaac Schaefer again, I just wanted to let you know the home went pending. I'll let you know when it sells you. I can tell you what the home sold for. So the goal with that is to not let those leads fizzle and die. If they're going to fizzle and die, then that's fine. But I want to give it 1 or 2 or 3 last shots. And after those 3 last shots, if they never text back, they never give me anything back, then I'm probably done at that point. That's just me. I do 3 touches afterwards. Thanks for coming to the open house. Hey, by the way, the home went pending. Maybe I say, hey, the price of that home dropped, if that happens. But after those final texts and no contact back, they've answered you, right? Again, I'm all about not wasting my time. Like if I'm going to try to get them to be a lead, and if they're continually not giving me anything back, they've already told you they're not interested without telling you, right?
Yeah.
So that's it, guys. That's what I do.
All the sign-in sheets that I have give them an option of telling me if they have a realtor or not. And they always say that they have a realtor. Do you reach out to those people that say they have a realtor?
I don't give them the option to tell me if they have a realtor. That's what I do.
Okay. All right.
And that's exactly why. That's a great question. If I ask if you have a realtor and then I contact you afterwards, it's like, dude, I already told you I have a realtor. But if I contact you afterwards and you really do have well, okay, step back. I think most people say, yes, I have a realtor. And because there's no option for don't contact me. So they say, I have a realtor, which is their way of saying don't contact me. I would say at least 1 out of 2 people who say they have a realtor do not have a realtor. I really, really believe that. Because here's the thing. I don't ask that question on the sign-in sheet. And most of the people who I contact don't have realtors. So I don't think I'm just getting lucky. I think most people are lying. So that's why I don't do it.
Okay, so that's where my mistake has been, because I've had some really good contact with people at my open houses, but they've had realtors. And so I've had to just let it go because I don't want to, you know, I
Yeah.
mean, at least they said they had a realtor. So I'm like, well, I'm going to believe them. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I totally get it. It's very complicated because you're like, hey, if they have a realtor, it's honestly kind of shitty to be reaching out to them because they said they have a realtor. But I don't know if you have a realtor because I didn't ask.
So that's what I've been doing wrong for all these years.
Well,
It's always got to be something like that. I swear to God.
it's
But
tough.
I've never had any luck at open houses. I'm like, I don't know how people get clients out of them, except I haven't ever gone and done the door knocking beforehand, which is a huge mistake. Because
I think everyone thinks of an open house as a way to get buyers, but in my experience, most people who come through an open house are neighbors,
yeah,
and those neighbors are sellers, right? And so when I changed my mentality in an open house to be less about buyers and more about sellers, that's when I really started getting clients. Because you know, those sellers are like, most neighbors are not coming because they want to sell a home, right? So let's eliminate those. But the 1 or 2 that are considering selling their home, they'll tell you. They're normally like, yeah, I'm just a neighbor. I'm just looking because we're thinking about selling our home. And they don't even realize they just gave me a gold nugget. It's like, frick yes, right? That is somebody who I am absolutely calling later and telling them they got a gift card. I'm going to try and drop it off at their home so I can say, dude, this is a beautiful home. This home's going to sell, no problem. I just sold a home down the street for, you know, whatever, you know, and it's so easy to get that report. And I already have the validity of being the guy in the neighborhood because I'm the one doing open houses in their neighborhood. And people, I look like a local expert to them. So yeah, I think that changing that mindset is huge. It's huge.
okay,
Yeah.
cool.
Cool, guys. That's all I got. I hope that was helpful. If anybody would like to talk about this more, feel free to call me anytime and we can kind of discuss it. But yeah, I hope that was helpful.
That was very helpful, actually. Thank you so much. I'm glad I came.
Yeah, no, I'm glad you came too. And for everybody watching this at a later time, like I said, call anytime if you want to kind of discuss this any further. And if you have any advice for other people that I didn't mention, let Rachel know and she can include it in the email. So, all right, I think that's a wrap.
Right on. Thank you.
No problem. Talk to you guys later.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, Rachel.
Everyone.